Hello, and welcome to the second installment of A Journey in Song, the web series about singing. I'm Brad Jenks, voice teacher in Chicago, Illinois, where we are getting some outstandingly cold temperatures right now. I hope that all of you in the Midwest experiencing this cold snap are being safe and staying warm. Now, on to our topic. Today, I thought that I might investigate the term natural. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and it's used with some frequency to sort of claim a kind of naturalness of approach, which is a lovely idea and not unreasonable. But the other place that I see it quite a bit is used as a kind of claim of something to do with style, as pitted against something like a cultivated or refined style. This over here is a more natural style. And I think that's a very interesting and rather unfortunate use of the term, because it ignores something really basic about human development, and that is that there's almost nothing that we do that is not cultivated. Everything that we do has to be learned. This is something that I've learned from having small children, is that there's very little that we do that comes to us completely naturally, aside from eating, sleeping, and messing yourself. So, I think it's perfectly reasonable to use the word natural to refer to a course of events that things typically take, and both guided and unguided. But unguided has a really strong tendency towards chaos, or at the very least uncertainty, something that I think most people would probably not want in their vocalism. So if you think about it like a garden, all the elements of a garden, occur naturally and grow and bloom, and it's no less natural for it having been tended and cultivated. It's perhaps better for us to think about it as the opposite of cultivated is not natural. The opposite of cultivated is uncultivated. The opposite of refined is not natural. The opposite of refined is unrefined. Well, personally, I think that this use of the term stems from a kind of exasperation. It's not uncommon for people to reach a kind of midpoint in their study where they become very frustrated. It's either the tedium of it or the unexpected challenge of it, or a certain level beyond which they really didn't expect to have to go, or sometimes it's the difficulty that they run into because of a bad bit of advice that has left them tied up in knots. And when faced with this, a kind of a regression can happen where something less disciplined but more familiar becomes preferable. And so the language starts to crop up that this is more natural, and it's spoken about in terms of style. The style is more natural. But we have to be careful, because really this is sophistry. It's a kind of sort of relativism that really only displays a preference for the immature. The reason this becomes really important is because the primary determiner of one's vocal health is a wise balance of discipline against demand. So I would think that the harder the music that you wanted to sing, or the more punishing the schedule, the more cultivated and the more disciplined you would want to be as a vocalist for your own vocal efficiency and your own vocal health. Now, navigating and discerning this in both others and in yourself becomes complicated by the fact that we all have different strengths and gifts. So this person here may be mechanically really proficient and yet musically terribly uninteresting, whereas this person over here might have all sorts of impulses and intuitions toward communication and performance that are really fantastic, and yet not have a lot of mechanical know-how. So that shouldn't leave us in a position of having to somehow decide between this or that being more natural or less natural than the other. Because the reality is that nothing that's done, certainly nothing that's done well, is not cultivated. And if you can learn to do something, then you can learn to do it better. And that should give us hope. So, I hope you found this interesting and helpful. And if you have, please continue to tune in. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments in the section below. I hope you all stay warm, and I wish you happy singing.